Okay, Titan FC 36. They've added another name to their roster. Chris, you're joining us. Thank you for your time. Before we get started, it's always great to have new faces on. You're taking on Brian Davidson, who we've seen before fight on a Titan FC card. And also, I know of his kind of background with martial arts. I love the matchup in the sense you've got two experienced martial artists. Were you quite looking forward to getting a matchup like this?
Yes, definitely. He's more than a game opponent. With all of his experience and his credentials and things like that. It's something to definitely look forward to on my end, and also on the fans' end, of course. It's gonna be good stuff.
It is, and you've come in as well after like a 2-fight win streak, so you've got a nice bit of momentum behind you going into this Titan bout. I suppose that kind of helps going into I'd say, because it's been on Fight Pass, there's a bit more to it, isn't there? You see, I think
added interest.
Yeah, so with that momentum, it definitely helps relax you, I'd imagine.
Sorry, I didn't get that last part.
It must help relax you having that momentum with those wins behind you going into this Titan card.
Oh yes, definitely. It really helps out a lot. Going in there with that confidence, and I try to, of course, always go into every matchup with confidence, but just having that extra added momentum makes it all the better. Especially so going in there with the game opponent as Brian Davidson is. His pedigree of martial arts, with this taekwondo, it can be. I'm sure it can be intimidating for most fighters out there that are predominantly ground fighters or predominantly this. Me, I'm ready to go. I'm all around, and going in there with the momentum against this guy is gonna be good stuff. It's gonna be fireworks.
I was going to say, when you got a game opponent such as that, it helps, I suppose, in training to. I mean, most fighters don't have trouble finding that motivation anyway, but it gives you the motivation, doesn't it? It makes that motivation easier, shall we say?
Oh yeah, definitely. It makes it easier to wake up in the morning and light the fire.
Yeah, I get you.
We've noticed with Titan FC, they have quite a depth adding into their 135s, the 145s, 155s. They're really starting to add that depth in. Does it excite you as well, the kind of fighters around these weight classes that they have? The fact that you get the quality matchups that are just pretty much on offer.
Yeah, I'm always thinking about the future, and wanting to be on top of the world, on top of the mountain, or the king of whatever division that I'm fighting in, whatever promotion, and so it being against opponents that are notable names, it makes it all the better, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to become the best in the world, and so in order to be the best, you have to fight the best, and so it's definitely the place to be.
It is, yeah. I think with like we've said before, with it being on Fight Pass, that must just literally, for a fighter yourself, the kind of attention it gets there, it really is worldwide and global. You might not get not every fighter gets that opportunity to get that exposure. Do you then find that when you are training, you kind of, knowing this in the back of your mind, that you want to go a bit harder, you want to put on that exhibition?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just excited that I'll be able to show this to the world, finally, because I feel like I always go out there and make it a point to make it a very entertaining fight for the crowd, and look for finishes and actually finish the fight, and so this time being worldwide, it's exciting to me because it's finally going to be available for everybody. It's like, here it is. This is what y'all been missing out on. That's what I feel like.
And that is the thing, you've accumulated, 20-odd fight careers, so it's not like you're a new kid on the block. You've got a great lot of experience under your belt. So the thing is, for example, me and Mike being in the UK, we don't get to see this experience. We don't get to see you fight because it's hard. Certain promotions in the States don't kind of broadcast it, and it's impossible, obviously, to find the time to find to watch every fighter. So we get the opportunity of watching you compete. So what have you been doing then, training wise, to get yourself obviously ready for this fight, and just in general, really? What kind of training have you been doing? Where have you been going?
I'm always trying to work everything, but from boxing to kickboxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, it's just an ongoing thing, trying to expand all around. And so my background, I wrestled in high school. I'm a brown belt Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I never received any I don't have any taekwondo belts or anything like that, but striking wise, I'm very experienced. I fought some really tough guys out there, and that also have kickboxing background and things like that. And so I feel like my all around game is just ready to go. I have one pro boxing and one kickboxing fight on my resume that I didn't do good on. I'm like, go ahead and say that. But the boxing was an interesting one because I actually took that on a 1 day notice. I was actually at the weigh-ins, just there for the weigh-ins, to help promote the show. And I'm in shape. I'm good to go. And they come up to me. They're like, "Oh, this guy doesn't have an opponent. Like, do you want to take the fight? Would you be interested?" And I'm like, "Sure. Like, let's do it." And so that's how I made my pro boxing debut, and it was actually against a really, really tough and game opponent who's, I think at that time he was 4-0, is knocking everybody out, and I'm coming in there as an MMA fighter, and so he was telling the promoter and everybody else, like, "Oh, I'm gonna knock him out first round, this is an MMA fighter, blah blah blah," and so he went out there and made it a war. We went the distance, The first round he actually did catch me with a good solid punch. I stayed up. I was on my feet. There was no knockdown or anything like that. But I felt his power, and I was like, "All right, here we go." And so we kept on going at it. Second round, I believe I caught him with a shot that actually did drop him, but they called it a slip. And as soon as he got up, the round ended, and he got a chance to recover. And we just kept on going back and forth in that fight, in that matchup, and ended up being a decision. They gave it to him. I wasn't going to complain or anything like that. I'm like, shoot, I'm just excited that everybody else was on their feet and going crazy. Everybody was like, "Wow!" Like it was fight of the night and everything. And like I said, it was something I just took on 1 day notice and I didn't train at all for a boxing match, leading up to that. And so it was quite the experience. So I forgot what got me getting into that, but yeah.
I tell you
what, when you've been hit in boxing, when you realise that you've just been separated because you've taken him down in response. But
I tell you, that is a beautiful thing to show there last minute, just day before. Let's do it.
My advice to you is stay away from them kung fu shows.
Oh boy,
don't go walking into them.
that's crazy, my friend. That story.
I'm guessing you've always got your shorts in the the glove box of your car, have you?
That was, oh my goodness, it was crazy. It was a crazy experience, because I never had a boxing match before. I had always tried to get amateur boxing fights and things like that never came through. And when that happened, it was like, I had to immediately go get a pair of boxing shoes, all this last minute stuff, and it was a local show, so I was eager to help make the show, make it happen. And so I went in with it, and my wife, of course, was not excited at all. She was not very happy or pleased by any by one stretch of it or anything. She was like, "Oh my goodness," but it was like, I just went up to her and told her I'm taking this fight, and she was there with me, and she was just like, "Oh my goodness!" Like she's like, she had no response. She's just like, "Okay, I guess so."
Joking aside, how did you find? Obviously, not having prepared for a boxing match, how hard did you find it to stay within the rules during the fight? Because there must be moments where instinct would tell you to do something that you can't do in boxing. Shall we say, like something as simple as a leg kick or something, or a takedown.
That was probably the hardest thing. my reactions for distinguishing whether to go for a grappling technique and striking technique are pretty those lines can be separated pretty easily. But when it comes to striking, like you're trying to hold back, throwing a leg kick in the middle of a fight, that can be difficult. When you're throwing blows. And so warming up, I actually as I was warming up for that fight, I almost threw a leg kick, with my guy in the back, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, I can't do that in the fight. I cannot do that in the fight. I'm like, yeah, don't do that. Do not do that.
Yeah, you should just tie your laces together. Tie your laces together so you can only go so far apart.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, it was definitely an experience, and I'm glad I didn't slip up, and accidentally throw any illegal shots in boxing. It was an awesome experience, though. It's something I definitely am glad that I have that. Just as a personal memory, it's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those kind of, like you said, it's invaluable what you got from it. That's the key.
Yeah, the experience as well of.
It's just the knowledge that you can take from it. Even though you did it last minute, it wasn't planned. There is a lot you can take from it going into MMA. You see, and that's the golden thing about it, is that you learn from it, and that's the thing. You take away something from it.
Well, you also know for yourself that you're prepared to step up. And
yeah, and that guy, he was not just kind of like any run-of-the-mill boxer type of guy. He was 4-0 at the time, and like I said, I think he had knocked out all his other guys in the first round. He went on to become, champion of, I forget what, I don't know the acronyms for whatever it was but he was a really good fighter. He was multiple state champion as an amateur. He went to nationals, I believe, a couple times, and so like he had quite the resume when it comes to boxing, and so it was a really great experience. That's like you said, invaluable.
So I take it for this fight they've given you more notice, yeah?
Yeah.
right. Just so we check this one out. You do actually know this is happening, don't you?
Yeah, I'm like, this fight. Oh, okay, this fight has happened. That's right. Okay, yeah. It's not tomorrow. I have how many weeks? Oh, great.
I prefer only a day's notice. I prefer it that way.
Yeah. Don't miss so many nights sleep.
I was about to say, it's crazy the difference when you've got the boxing gloves on when you spar. You obviously had the bout, and then you went to do sparring with MMA gloves. The kind of comfort zone that goes from boxing gloves to MMA gloves, I found it absolutely. The first time when I spar or train with boxing gloves on, there is that kind of that comfort zone you fall into because you've got so much around you to cover you. But then when you go to spar in the MMA gloves, you can't. You just. I fell into the lull. I fell into it. I thought, I'll just put my hands up, and all of a sudden these gloves are just popping through left, right, and centre, and I kind of went, yeah, this kind of sucks. Did it surprise you when you started to get back into when you started to train that way yourself?
For MMA?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I don't know. Like I before I ever actually trained in a gym or anything like that, me and my brothers, we always would watch fights and do our own training on our own, which was the backyard brawling, that you see YouTube videos of and things like that. But we were actually trying to learn these moves. We weren't just going crazy on each other, and so anytime we would grapple, anytime we would do anything, we would also throw some strikes in there, and we didn't have any gloves or anything, and so wearing MMA gloves to me is closer to home. I feel like I was born to do MMA. When it comes to fighting, like I have skills with just straight kickboxing, I have skills straight hands, I have skills straight ground, things like that. But I feel like my all-around skill set is made and geared for MMA, and so that's where I feel most at home is MMA. It's actually comforting, to be in that
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you get fighters that actually are very good at one particular art, but they can't blend. They can't blend it in the world of MMA, and you can have, sometimes it's better to be a jack of all trades almost, rather than a
master of one, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly.
It is that. It is a very fine line, the mixed martial arts. When I think a lot of people, when they come into it, they get a bit of a shock. For example, if you are skilled in taekwondo or karate, there is certain aspects of that martial art that leave openings for a mixed martial artist to kind of take out and to take that opponent out. So it is really kind of adapting to MMA. And if you're just someone who trains mostly MMA, it kind of helps. I think it certainly does help in many aspects. Obviously, your fight coming up, you've got Davidson. He, like you say, he's got a specific martial art background, which you could use to your advantage if you can find the holes. And the access is there anyway to see his fights online. So I'm sure your coaches sat and had a bit of fun studying his bouts, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it's both sides, because my list of videos to go through on online is there as well. So I know it's gonna be on both ends. They're gonna try to look through and see habits and patterns, things like that of mine, and we're gonna be doing the same. And so that's that chess game outside of the fight itself, where it's trying to game plan and create a strategy for how to go about being successful in the fight. But when it comes down to it, a fight is a fight, and as soon as it's just me and him in there, it's just me and him in there. And so all the other stuff, like who is it, Mike Tyson or I forget the original person that said it, but everybody has a game plan until they get punched in the face. And so it's gonna be interesting, to see how it all plays out. I of course feel that I'm gonna pull out on top and and make an exclamation point for myself. And so I know he has other plans, but it's gonna be good stuff.
Just don't go to any shows beforehand, or definitely don't take your shorts to any shows beforehand.
Yeah. I won't take any other fights or anything.
Yeah. Or at least don't go anywhere on your own.
Don't go anywhere, yeah.
Take your missus with you.
and listen.
Yeah.
And obviously, if people are going to be tuning into this Titan FC Bound Fight Pass, myself and Mike, we will be anyway across here in the UK. So, for people who maybe want to jump on and give you a follow and support, buddy, have you got any social media things that people can jump onto?
Yes, I'm on Twitter at Chris Pecero, CHRAS, of course, and PECERO is my last name, and so it's just all together, my Twitter handle, and on Facebook, Chris the Enigma Pecero. Also on Instagram is Chris the Enigma, and Periscope, Vine, YouTube, all of those. You just look me up, search me. I try to be all across the board, and I try to be as active on social media as possible. And not overly active to where I'm just taking selfies 24/7 or anything like that. But I'm always trying to keep it entertaining and things like that. I apologize right now for my if my energy level sounds a little funny or awkward over the phone. I just finished a pretty good training session over at the Arena Strength and Fitness, and so my energy levels are going down.
Hang on, mate. You just told us you ate a load of ice cream and you can't move an inch. You're on the sofa.
And what's your Rumbler name, please?
I was going to say you've got every social media bit there, mate. You got more than us going on.
Have you heard of that? You're going to end up on that Rumbler, aren't you?
Oh, I've heard about that.
Yeah.
And what about your sponsors, buddy? Have you got any people out there that particularly help you out your kind of MMA career?
Well, first off, I'd like to thank the gyms that I train at, Full Contact Fight Academy being the main one, Represent Hand. Also, where I mentioned the Arena Strength and Fitness. Big shout out and support and thanks to my supplements, Rocks, Discount Vitamins. They've always been on board and helped me through everything. As when vitamin supplements and little boys who are named very, very, very unique names. Cash Eric Pecero and Sakuraba Pecero, named after Johnny Cash and Kazushi Sakuraba, well-known MMA fighter, of course. And so
did you have to negotiate with the wife to get that name?
Without their support.
Did you have to negotiate with the wife to get that name?
Yeah, we actually. Oh my goodness, it was. It's a funny story behind that. We actually had like a lottery type of thing where we were drawing names and things like that. And we
not fixed, of course. Yeah,
it was funny.
I like the fact that she would have went. She went. Okay, I like the name. I like the name Edward, Adam, and you're sitting there going Basrutin, Sakuraba, Fedor Elemenko, and you're just putting all them names in.
I was going to say, did you discuss it whilst you were still high on drugs from the?
Sorry, buddy.
I'm like, how about Marco Lewis? Can we go with Marco Lewis? No? No, you don't like that name?
I like that. I can see this happening in the future with people as well. Women would just be there thinking, "What did you say, sweetheart?" I was just thinking, Pedro Izzo. No, don't worry about it. I was just forget about it.
Sorry, it was just yeah. It was just Izzo. It's with the R, but you pronounce Izzo. It's yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll fit.
I tell you what, one of your kids was an inch away from being called Tank Abbott. So it could have been worse. Yeah. All right.
That's what you're gonna tell her. Yeah, it could have been Tank Abbott.
Yeah. Butterbean or something. Oh dear. Yeah.
No, that is some great way to get the kids.
Actually has a. Sorry, I was gonna say that the Saku name actually has a background to it as well, being more so than it just being Kazushi Sakuraba's name. When I was training, years ago, just straight grappling, I would not only training but in competitions, I would oftentimes bust out, with cartwheels and things like that in the middle of matches or middle of training, and so everybody started to call me Sakuraba, like as a nickname, and so Sakuraba, yeah, and it stuck for a bit, and of course I didn't keep it, I'm known as Chris the Enigma as my fight name, and but it was I feel like it was so much part of that chapter in my life that it was rightfully so passed on to my little boy Psycho Element, and my first son being Cash Eric Pecero, he's actually named after me as well. Christopher Eric is my birth name, and so they both have a little bit of that, a little bit of junior in each of them.
So you won the lottery twice with the name calling, right?
Yes.
Between us and yourself, did you rig the lottery?
Yeah. Cash is that was the name that she always wanted after Johnny Cash, and so it was a really good. I felt like we both really got what we wanted when it came to the names, because she had of course her say in there as well.
It's not a bad one, Cash. I like that one.
Well, if you have another child, can we be included in the next lottery?
No more. We are all done.
Because I'm getting on a bit, and I wouldn't mind aging a child. Not aging naming a child. I mean, so,
Yeah, Mike's going to be dust.
What's the chance? They say it's 1 in 10 million.
Yeah, Mike's going to be dust soon, so yeah. Chris, thanks very much for coming on and speaking with us. Have a great time at this Titan card. We know how well Titan look after their fighters. We know how well fighters enjoy going and fighting on Titan card. So, you're gonna have an awesome time, man. It's gonna be a great time before Christmas. I have to say.
And just remember, it's not tomorrow.
No.
It's not tomorrow. I'll be good to go. I'm very excited, and so I'll keep all of that reserved until then. I don't have to fight tomorrow, like you said. So I'm good to go.
Get your energy levels up.